Here's the big question. Why do companies like Sonos and Snapchat and even Apple keep making the same exact mistakes? And why do they never seem to learn? Because when you ignore your customers and your team, the fallout can be catastrophic. Sonos learned this the hard way. But the crazy part is, they are not alone. Companies like Snapchat and Facebook and even Apple have made similar mistakes. It's crazy, right? So the question is, why does this keep happening? And more importantly, how can you avoid it in your life and in your business? Let's get to Sonos. Sonos is a brand built on trust, premium speakers, high-paying customers, and a reputation for a lot of quality. But in 2025, a single leadership failure derailed it all. The question is, what happened? A buggy app update. That's it. But the real story is about ignoring feedback from both users and their internal employees. And here's the kicker. Sonos isn't the first company to stumble this way. It's happened multiple times in the past. And I'm going to show you exactly what happened. So here we go. What went wrong at Sonos? The shocking parallels to other brands like Snapchat and Apple, and 5 lessons that every leader can take away from these failures, including me. All right, so let's get started with Sonos. They rolled out a massive app update, a complete rewrite meant to modernize their system. Totally makes sense, right? But their engineers flagged some major issues. Critical bugs that could break core functionality, key features like syncing speaker volumes were not ready, and the executives, well, they just ignored the warnings and pushed the app update live. The result was just utter chaos. Customers faced broken systems, features they relied on were missing, and thousands of one-star reviews flooded the app stores. Sound familiar? Well, let's look at some other brands that made the same exact mistake to show you that this is not an isolated incident. So something similar happened at Snapchat. In 2018, Snapchat rolled out a redesign that nobody asked for. Users hated it. Over 1.2 million people signed a petition to revert the changes. A petition! That's crazy. And what happened next? Their daily active users dropped for the first time in company history. Come on. We've got to see this stuff coming, right? So what's the obvious lesson here? Number 1, listen to your audience before making drastic changes. Number 2, look at number 1. That's exactly it. Now, Apple, for example, is not immune to this. In fact, Apple Maps is another classic example. When Apple launched their own Maps app in 2012, it was riddled with inaccuracies, missing cities, incorrect directions, bridges that appeared to be underwater, and the backlash was so intense that CEO Tim Cook issued a public apology. And get this, he even recommended that the users try competing services like Google Maps. Personally, I think it was a pretty classy move. You're showing consumers that you care about what they want, even if your company doesn't have the solution for it at this time. Good job, Tim Cook. Way to own it, right? So what's the lesson? If your product isn't ready, please don't ship it. Your reputation depends on it. And that's the important thing. Then, by the way, there's Netflix. Netflix tried to split its streaming and DVD rental services into 2 separate platforms, Netflix and Quickster. I don't know if you remember. The announcement was so confusing that the customers just revolted. Netflix quickly scrapped the idea, but not before losing over 800,000 subscribers. There's a big lesson here. Clear communication is critical because when you confuse your customers, you'll lose them, 800,000 of them. So now back to Sonos. CEO Patrick Spence eventually released a YouTube apology titled, "We are fixing it." But here's the problem. The comments were turned off. The apology felt more like damage control than accountability. And because of this, the fallout was just significant. The customers lost trust, the brand's reputation took a massive hit, and the CEO, Patrick Spence, he stepped down as CEO. It's so sad because this could have easily been avoided if they just listened to their teams. All right, so let's wrap into my 5 big lessons, and the 5th one is going to be the one for you as well. So number 1, test before you launch. For example, Facebook's 2008 redesign faced huge backlash. Why? Because they rolled it out before fully understanding the user's needs. Invest in testing, and then your customers will totally thank you for it. Number 2, listen to your team. The Sonos engineers warned executives about the app issues. Ignoring internal feedback is like flying blind. Great teams build great products, but only and only when their voices are heard. Number 3, please don't sacrifice core features. Microsoft's Windows 8 redesign failed because it abandoned the start button, something users really relied on to actually get going. By the way, here's a pro tip. If you're making changes, preserve what your audience loves, right? Small things. Number 4, you gotta communicate transparently. Netflix Quickster debacle taught us that unclear messaging can kill even the best ideas. So just be upfront with your audience, own your mistakes. I'm telling you, people can handle the truth because I am the people. And number 5, act quickly. When Tumblr, the old blog engine, banned adult content in 2018, they lost a massive chunk of their audience. Now, if you make a mistake, fix it fast, or you're probably risking some pretty permanent damage. Here's my big takeaway. Whether you're Apple or Sonos or Snapchat, the rules are the same. Test your ideas, listen to feedback, communicate clearly. Because in today's world, your customers and your team expect more. So now the real question is, can Sonos recover from this? Or will this be the mistake that they never came back from? Now that's the $1.7 billion question. Hey, if you like this episode, I went a little different on how I generally do my podcast. So I'd love for you to maybe take a screenshot and tag me and say, hey, that was helpful, because then I can do and create more like this for you. I want to create relevant news, relevant ideas, and get the best, biggest business learnings from them and give it to you in a very short amount of time. So if you like this, please do me a favor, screenshot this episode, tag me, and so that I can make more like this for you.